Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel the Beast of ZeldaDungeon.net, and I want to talk to you about a topic that, okay, it might bother you a little. Just hear me out. The bottom line is I think that Zelda is a really great series, but I also think it's very flawed. No, don't freak out. It's just an observation. The thing is I don't think flawed necessarily means bad, at least not automatically. I actually talked about this, the distinction between, like, low quality, flawed, and being perfect, in a video on my personal channel, which I'll link to somewhere around there, or something. And the thing is, I think Zelda games, in particular, are actually highly flawed games in general. I mean, I become a little well-known for complaining, whining, even about my favorite Zelda games. And Zelda is my favorite series, so it's not like I'm not bashing the series. I'm really not. The thing is I can think of a lot of games I like, say, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, or Yoshi's Island on the Super Nintendo, or Super Metroid even, that are essentially flawless games, or even other ones that have very few or very minor flaws, like Final Fantasy Tactics, Smash Brothers Brawl. I just off the top of my head, there are other games where I can't think of specific problems, Whereas Zelda, I think, always has a lot of flaws. There's always a lot of flaws in each individual game. I'd even venture to say that of all the games I like as much as I like Zelda, or anywhere around the same, like, league, because, again, it's my favorite series, I'd say Zelda is actually the most flawed. And the flaws aren't even always minor. They're prevalent in the series. But the thing is, they're always incredibly good games. Despite the flaws, and again, this is something I discussed in that other video, but something can have flaws but still be so amazingly well made that it doesn't matter. And I think Zelda is almost virtually always like that. Even the games I complain a lot about, I still thought were really great games, like Twilight Princess and The Wind Waker. And the thing is, Zelda games always have a lot of production value. Excuse me. Zelda games always have a lot of production value and just have a lot of care put into them. So they're fun regardless of all the problems they have. So they're flawed, but they're great despite it. And this is one of the problems I always have, at least, when I try to argue against non-fans of the series, like people who just aren't fans. I don't think I had to say that, non-fan. Why did I say that? Why did I say like you're a non-thing? I don't know. Whatever. Moving on. I think that this is what's tricky about me discussing this with people who aren't fans of the series, because when they talk about, like, all the flaws, like, they talk about all this problem, that problem, all these flaws in the series, I'm like, yep. So it's hard for me to defend this series, but that's the thing, is it's great despite being flawed. That Zelda magic that the series has is always about this. It's always about the big picture. It's always about the fun that the developers seem to have had making the game, but just the fun that the game is itself. It's not about, like, fixing all this flaw, that flaw, making it as perfect as possible, making it the most amazing looking experience ever. It's about, making it fun. And in that way, I think it's like Nintendo puts a lot of love into the game. They take a lot of care with it. They really pay attention to everything. And it's because of that, it has very high production values. They're very creative, very charming, very fun games. And again, it's a big picture thing. It's not something where you can pick apart the little flaws. And like most things that are flawed yet good, it's hard to appreciate if it's not your thing. So, at least in my opinion, most non-fans, there I am going with that wording again, of the series generally aren't going to convert, or at least in my experience, they're generally not the kind of people who are going to be seen the light. I never liked that kind of outlook anyway, because if they don't like it, okay, they don't like it. There's no reason to convert them to fans unless they have a very invalid reason for not liking it. But in this case, it's usually just not their thing. But again, that's the tricky part of trying to defend the series, because they're right. It has problems, but it's good despite that. And this is especially important for me, because my favorite Zelda game prior to Skyward Sword was Majora's Mask. And then Skyward Sword came out, and it became my favorite Zelda game, as I've discussed. But the thing is that Skyward Sword is a significantly more flawed game than Majora's Mask, and indeed, a number of other games in the series. I wouldn't even say that it's I do think it's significantly better than some of the other games. Not all of them, but some of them. I don't think it's the best Zelda game, but it is better than some of them. Had to clarify that. But it is extremely flawed. It's one of the more flawed games in the series, but that doesn't mean it isn't good. It's my favorite despite its flaws because it's a really good, really fun game, and it really was an experience for me where it was just, I played the game and I just couldn't put it down because each individual section, despite all the problems, and I was complaining as I played it, it was just a lot of fun. I was just having a blast no matter what the problems were. So I think Skyward Sword in a big way, at least for me, exemplifies this trait that the Zelda series has that I've observed in the series at large, which is to be filled with problems, but really good despite that. Which I've said several times now in this video. So, I don't know. It's something I've been thinking about recently. Yeah, that's about all I have to say. Kind of just a short ramble, spewing out my observations. Hopefully you find it interesting. But how do you feel? I mean, do you think that the series is flawed like I say, or do you think or were you the person throwing that cup and that, what was it, toilet paper? I don't know. Were you throwing stuff at me for saying that, or do you agree? Or did you throw something and now you agree? Or, I don't care. Just tell me your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.
You want these?
Test. Oh. Oh.
Sorry.
Okay.
I need the straw.
Let's test it without the straw. Then we'll... Ow! Okay, let's try it.
You want...
Try to sail it past my head this time. Okay. The bottom line is I think Zelda is a really great series, but I think it's very flawed. Shh. Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel the Beast.